Well, an MVP has always been one of those things that's debated, right? So what does an MVP mean? I remember one year Andre Dawson won it in baseball with 47 home runs, 135 RBIs for a last place team. And people were like, wow, they didn't win. How valuable is he? Well, I mean, your thoughts. Not about Andre Dawson per se.
About the MVP.
Yeah.
Well, my thing about the MVP is, look, if you took this person off the team, would they still make the playoffs? Would they still be as effective as they were, this year?
So value could be stats, could be leadership, could be overall just
Stats
ability.
are almost overrated, though.
Well, they can be. We had some guys with some high numbers, but our MVP is one of those guys who, and this is probably, I don't say it's going to create some controversy. I don't think so, because it's Danny Elizondo again of Brownsville Rivetta. That team, he played Lazarus, man. They came back from the dead at 0-5 again. And as I said earlier in the show, he just did so many important things at the right times that I feel like he's a pretty good choice. Very valuable to that team.
Yeah, and I had the chance to talk to one of the coaches at Rivetta, and we mentioned it, week after week as they were making that run, that they just put the ball in the kid's hand, told him, look, here's a script.
He made the reads,
Ad-lib.
He made audibles, he called his plays, not exclusively. It wasn't like they just went to have a hot dog and he played. But, the trust that they displayed in that kid, and again, he's not going to win anybody's super athlete award. Tall, lanky kid. He's got pretty decent moves. He's not some of the quarterbacks in the Valley were better runners than him.
Yes.
And some of them were better throwers. But very few people brought to the table that combination of pretty dang good skills and unbelievable clutch ability. He was just money, man.
Yeah, and look, realize this too. A lot of you guys are going to be like, what about Pressos, Madden? He filled that gap, and he took the team from what we saw at the beginning of the year. Was it Edinburgh North or Edinburgh North? And they didn't look that great. They had a great,
they played a tough schedule, man. They also played East early on.
Yeah, and they had a great drive against Edinburgh North, and you saw flashes, glimpses of brilliance.
Yeah.
But then mid-season, when the coaches, relied on him to start. It was
like, remember Vince Young?
Yeah.
They let him loose. They didn't try to turn him into a thrower. They just let him play the game. And, of course, it's a loose analogy. But, the fact is, I felt like of all the players I watched this year, he had the most something. You know what I mean? That it factor. He captivated your attention. They got the ball back and made the winning touchdown against PSJ North with about 20-something seconds left. In the last couple of minutes against Mackay down there at Sam Stadium, boom, boom, tied it up, won it in overtime. His performance was worthy of an MVP, and so he's worthy of that award.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, we do have the offensive MVP award, and that one's kind of, it was difficult because there were two guys really vying for that spot, and they were rushing, rushing their way into that.
Ad infinitum, man. Look, the 2,000-yard kids, the best of them, in my view. Ironically, I think that the gap between these two, I'm talking about Lupe Marone and Trevor Spates, was less than I thought because, Spates continued on his path and he's a special player, but Lupe was too. But we decided on Trevor Spates because, let's face it, man, he had almost 2,700 yards rushing, almost 30 touchdowns. He is the likes of him we will see only in a generation here in the Valley, and gosh, how could he not be the offensive MVP?
Yeah, it's incredible. Especially, we got him up here as playmakers, but...
And look at that picture, man. That's a good defender in the back, and he got no chance, man. The kid is off to the races.
Yeah, and look, if we look at, players, this kid we're going to see on Saturdays, playing big-time college football.
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
200 yards game after game after game against any type of defense to try to stop him. He wasn't a one-trick pony. He wasn't just a speed guy, pretty speed guy. He ran hard this year. He ran people over. He broke tackles, and he continued also to have, the God-given skills. And boy, he has worked in the weight room to be a stronger kid. When I saw him as a freshman, he was exciting, but he just wasn't nearly as dominant as he was today. I can't wait to see what he'll pull next. Is he going to gain 3,000 yards next year?
Oh, man.
Incredible.
Now, our defensive player of the year, we both like him. We both think he's...
We're on the bandwagon.
Yeah. And look, nobody makes ESPN and flies underneath the radar.
Yeah.
And Sean Landis.
You won't see... Here's a guy who, if you look at him, he's imposing because of his demeanor. He's a tough guy. He's what you call a badass, I'm sorry. We're not on TV. We can say that.
All right, yeah.
But man, he's not that big.
No,
and he's not that, but he's strong for his size. And his instincts, his reactions to the ball are amazing, man. You know, he's just super
Haven't
quick.
seen that kind of reaction, that athletic ability since Sal Martinez.
I was just about to say, you're going to bring up Sal, and I'm glad that you did, because he had the same type of that quick firing muscle ability, you know, to make a play when you didn't think there was any inkling of making a play. There's no way that very few guys you can say, how did he do that? There's no way he just did that, right? And so I think that Landez is a tremendous defensive MVP, because he just meant so much to that football team for years. I mean, hell, he's played 7 years, hasn't he?
Yeah, I know.
Seems like it.
Forever. You know, and it's a shame. Every year we have to say goodbye to like these really great players. But Shawn Landez was a pleasure to watch.
Oh, he's memorable. You know, his personality, his intellect, his performance. You know, what he meant to the team. I feel like, again, you don't get a guy like that every year. Not even close.
And now, our next topic, or our next award, goes to the newcomer of the year. And
a lot of good ones this year. Hey, that sophomore class. Remember we talked about on overtime, or whatever we called it? We talked about 20 or 25 sophomores. We got some good ones. Now, I thought instantly of Aguinaga from Eckhouse. He was a great sophomore. What is he going to do next? That guy's going to be great next year. Him and those playmakers at Eckhouse, you watch. They're going to be one of the best offenses around. Our buddy Kai Money, Easy Money, down the freshman. When's the last freshman you can remember that started at quarterback? Think hard.
Matt Kaufman.
I was about to say, man, he ain't in Kaufman's class yet, but after a great debut, I feel like the sky is the limit. St. Joe had to replace their whole backfield, you know. I mean, they had a bunch of new guys, and this guy hit the ground running. Kind of ran into an injury. He still has a freshman body, and he got worn out, but you know what? He's going to be bigger, stronger. He's got the genetics. I expect him to be great. Those guys were good, but we went with the kid that made the Vela offense as well-rounded as any in the Valley.
Yeah, because without it, you don't have. If you don't have that running game, you can't get that passing game to Arguelles or
Luna, or Reyna, or Steven DeLuna. You know, here's the thing. Robert Guerra, the sophomore running back, broke the 1,000-yard plane, scored 15 touchdowns, could catch the ball. And here's the thing. Him and Anthony Arredondo, the two running backs for Vela, they made that team extra hard to stop because they pounded the ball well behind a big old offensive line. They did a great job this year. I saw Robert Guerra in the spring, and I asked Coach Michael Salinas, my gosh, who is that kid that just went 80 yards without being touched? And he's like, well, we'll see. Because it's one thing to be a great talent, but it's another thing to accept the mantle of responsibility on the varsity. And I think Robert did a great job of staying cool, being mature, and really producing, man. That guy, you just watch, he's going to be one of the best in the Valley. I promise you that. Oh, God, that guy's so good.
Now, this last one. It's a tough one.
It's the toughest one.
All right.
It is.
Now, because, you know, you looked last year. I mean, I think we took some heat because we picked Tom Chavez. Yeah, it's Coach of the Year when everybody's like, why him?
Where, when?
Yeah, he didn't go the farthest. It's not about going the furthest. It's not about, the most wins. It's about doing something that hasn't been done before. Like, you know, last year, Tom Chavez brought Rivetta back.
Yeah. You know, this
year he did it again, which made it even more difficult.
Because he's on our list. He's on our list.
Yeah. What about Roger Adame at Mercedes?
Great season. Both Adames, man.
Yeah.
How can you can't keep Ron Adame out the top 5 because a lot of people expected them to flounder, and you know what? They didn't. They were awesome.
Yeah. Bill Littleton had a great season this year.
Yes, he did.
Michael Salinas.
Michael Salinas, 10 wins. He's in there.
But we had to look at this, and it was something that hadn't been done before, for this school.
A superlative.
To make the playoffs.
Oh, man. Roma Gladiators, I'll tell you the truth. I remember when they first started playing football. Rome always had a great basketball program. They made state in 72 and 76. Two Agueros on that one team. Escobar in 69 was an all-state. Amazing basketball. But in football, they're the team that you say, okay, we're going to get 50, and our third teamer is going to play. Roma was the worst football team in the Valley, and I'm not trying to be ugly. Everybody knows that, they had their tough time, 20-something years. Then they started kind of getting close. They had a couple of years where they were maybe, and then they didn't make it. And then they made it, they didn't make it. Well, they made it this year, and the guy we picked as Coach of the Year is partly responsible for it.
Yeah.
You're going to say his name because I screwed up.
I screwed up too.
Yeah.
Max Habecker.
Junior.
Yeah. What can you say? I mean, a few years ago, when we were on TV, we were, fighting for him to keep his job.
I know, yeah, exactly.
And look what he's done in that. A basketball town, he turned into a football town.
Yeah. This year?
As much as this year.
Hey, they've got a 500 record.
Year,
they've got a 500 record over 5 seasons, and that's in a tough district. They've played in several tough districts. Look, bottom line is this. They believed in the guy, and we kept hearing from certain sources, no, you just wait. This guy's got it, man. Scholarly approach, he's a thinker. You can see him just pondering stuff on the field, man. The kids love him. They responded. They played for him. And Roma came within 1 or 2 minutes of going 3 deep in the playoffs. They beat Mercedes and they upset. That's the biggest upset I can remember in several years. I promise you.
I think so too.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, props to the program, props to the coach. I mean, because what you guys did this year, I don't think anybody. And look, I'm going to be totally honest. I was at the picks where they picked the referees, and I talked to some coaches. There's some coaches didn't have them in.
Yeah.
Okay, majority didn't have Roma in.
And
for them to come back and win a playoff game and play hard the second round.
Oh man, they had the GP on the ropes. They had the lead. So you know, look, I think it's one of the stories of the year. And again, you know, leadership and patience and belief. Like I said, I swear, you look at the Roma roster, and they had some good players. But the things they were able to do with that team, all of a sudden the quarterback was a runner. He hadn't really taken off like that. And he takes off in by district, and you know, one of the reasons why they win the game. He was Robert Gotti's running crazy, man. So it's not just, you know, whether the kids like him, it's the things that he and the staff were able to do. They made a lot of adjustments, and you say that, and everybody will say, well, you stereotype. You know, they did the most with what I would consider to be an underdog team. And so for that, man, Max Habecker Jr., you got to be the coach of the year to me.
Yeah, congratulations, Coach.
Yeah.
Those are our awards for this season.
We don't have left guard of the year, holder of the year. I'm trying to extend this thing because I hate when football season ends. I really do.
But, you know, preseason's right around the corner. We've got, you know, 7-on-7 coming up. But, look, it was a great football season, and, you know, what I thought was going to be parity didn't really wind up to be so much parity as it was, you know, well-rounded teams.
I think what the amazing thing is about this season is some of the stories of the teams that came out of nowhere, some of the teams that have a hiccup in their get-along. I bet you they come back next year. When the season ends, as it's doing right now, as we speak, the bell, do not ask for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. I'm already thinking about, okay, who am I going to pick to make who am I going to pick wrongly to make the playoffs, and who am I going to pick not right to make it? No, it's coming, and I enjoyed the season. It was fun to get out to some sub-5A games, and I'm going to continue to do that in the future because everybody deserves the credit. They all put on the pads. They go through two-a-days such that they are now, but they're still two-a-days. You know, what we have to keep in mind is it's fun with the awards and the individuals and all the highlights and stuff. Bottom line is, here are kids involved in an extracurricular activity that teaches you leadership and discipline and respect for a community and for a program and a team. And no, man, there's nothing better than high school football in the world. I promise you that.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, the show, Greg Selber, Jake Berry. Keep on looking at 956. We're all over it in basketball. We're going to have all kinds of spring sports. And, you know, just because we love football doesn't mean we demean the other sports. Because, hey, man, if there's a game, you can count on us. We're going to be there. Lights out.
And fade.